They fought without us, until humanity stepped in and ended it. Part 1. The War That Never Ends. The stars were burning again. Captain Park stood at the large window of her ship, the Soul's Dawn. She watched the distant flashes of light. Each flash meant death. Each flash meant another battle in a war that had lasted 3,000 years. She was 34 years old. She had served in the United Earth Fleet for 12 years, but nothing in her training had prepared her for this. Nothing had prepared her to watch two great civilizations destroy each other while the rest of the galaxy did nothing. "Another battle in Sector 7, said Lieutenant from his station behind her. His voice was tired. He had given this same report many times before. The Dominion attacked a supply line. Early estimates say 200,000 dead, maybe more. Did not turn around. She kept watching the lights. 200,000, such a big number, but in this war it was just another day. Any response from the Council? She asked. The same as always, Captain. They say the war is not our concern. They say humans are too young to understand. Finally turned. Her bridge crew looked at her with tired eyes. They had been stationed in this sector for 6 months. Their job was simple: watch, report, do nothing. It was driving them all crazy. The Galactic Council had 53 member species. Some had been traveling between stars for 1,000,000 years. Humanity had only discovered faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. To the Council, humans were bobbies, children who had just learned to walk. The Council thinks we don't understand war, said Commander O. He was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes, but those eyes had grown hard in recent months. They've been fighting for 3,000 years. 3,000 years, Captain, and they tell us we don't understand. Walked to her command chair and sat down. The leather was cold. Everything felt cold out here, so far from Earth. What do we know about this war? She asked. Really know, I mean, not what the Council tells us. Lieutenant pulled up files on his screen. The Dominion and the Collective started fighting over a border dispute, a small planet in a system called Both Sides Claimed It. Both sides sent ships. Someone fired first. No one agrees on who. That was 3,000 years ago, O added. Since then, the war has spread to 200 systems. Total death count is estimated at 47 billion, and counting. 47 billion. Let that number sit in her mind. 47 billion people, dead because of a fight over one small planet that no one probably even remembered anymore. And no one has tried to stop it, she asked. The bridge went quiet, and O looked at each other. There was something in their eyes, something they hadn't told her. What? Demanded. What is it? Took a deep breath. There have been other species that tried to stop the war. The Confederacy, the Union, the Collective, they all tried to bring peace. What happened to them? They're gone, Captain, extinct, every single one. Felt ice in her stomach. Extinct how? Different reasons, plagues, accidents, internal wars that appeared out of nowhere. O's voice was low and careful. Every species that tried to stop this war disappeared within a century. The Council calls it bad luck. But you don't believe that. O shook his head slowly. I believe in patterns, Captain, and this pattern is very clear. The ship's communication system beeped. A face appeared on the main screen. It was Admiral, commander of Earth's entire fleet in this sector. She was a small woman with sharp features and sharper eyes. Captain Park, she said, I have news. Earth submitted another peace proposal to the Council. They have rejected it again. On what grounds? Asked, though she already knew the answer. The usual, humans are too young. We don't understand the complexities. The war is between the and it must be resolved by them alone. The Admiral's face twisted with frustration. They've been saying this for 50 years, the same words every time. Admiral said carefully, my crew has found something, about the species that tried to help before, about what happened to them. Admiral's eyes narrowed. I know about thee and the others. I know what happened. Then why are we still here, if helping means extinction? Because we're human, Captain. The Admiral's voice was hard as steel. And humans don't run from problems. We solve them. The transmission ended, sat in silence for a long moment. Below the bridge in the ship's research section, Doctor was working late. She had been studying the war for months, looking at data that no one else had thought to examine, battle reports, ship movements, communication records that the Council thought were hidden. What she found did not make sense, at least not at first. The battles followed patterns, strange patterns. Ships would move to certain positions, then stop. Attacks would happen at specific times, then pause. It was almost like a dance. A terrible, bloody dance that both sides knew the steps to. Checked her calculations again, then a third time. Her hands began to shake. This is impossible, she whispered to herself. But the numbers did not lie. Numbers never lied. She reached for her communicator. The captain needed to see this. Everyone needed to see this. The war was not what they thought it was. It never had been. They fought without us, until humanity stepped in and ended it. Part 2. The Truth Beneath the Stars. Doctor's hands were still shaking when Captain Park arrived at the research lab. The room was dark except for the glow of many screens. Numbers and images covered every surface. Maps of star systems, battle records, secret communications. "You need to see this," said. Her voice was barely a whisper. "You need to see what I found." Looked at the screens. She saw patterns, lines connecting battles across 3,000 years of war. At first, it looked like chaos. Random violence spread across 200 star systems. But had found the truth hiding inside the chaos. "Watch this section," the doctor said. She pointed to a map showing a major battle from 500 years ago. The fleet was here. They had the perfect position. They could have destroyed the entire force. Complete victory. "But they didn't," said slowly. "No, they pulled back, gave up the advantage. At the time, everyone said it was a mistake, bad leadership, but look at this." Switched to another battle 100 years later. Same thing. They had a clear path to the home system. They could have ended the war, but they turned around. Felt something cold growing in her chest. "Show me more." Showed her more. Battle after battle, century after century. The same pattern repeated over and over. Whenever one side got close to winning, they made a mistake. They retreated. They missed an obvious opportunity. It was not bad luck. It was not poor strategy. It was planned. "The leaders are working together," said. The words tasted like poison in her mouth. "Both sides. They're keeping the war going on purpose." Nodded. Her eyes were red from staring at screens for too long. "I found communication records, hidden ones, and leaders have been meeting in secret for at least 800 years. They plan the battles together. They decide how many will die and where." Why? His voice cracked. Why would they do this? "Power," the word came from the doorway. Commander O stood there, his face pale. He had been listening. "War keeps leaders in power. It keeps people afraid and obedient. It keeps money flowing to the military. Peace is dangerous for people who rule through fear." Thought of the numbers. 47 billion dead. Not from a real conflict. Not from hatred between peoples. From a game played by leaders who wanted to stay in charge. "The ordinary people," she said slowly. "The soldiers, the families, they don't know. They believe they're fighting for their survival," confirmed. "Both sides think the other wants to destroy them. The leaders tell them this. They've been telling them for 3,000 years." Lieutenant appeared behind Commander O. "I searched for records of the species that tried to stop the war. The others." His face was gray. "They all found the same thing we found. They all discovered the truth. And they were destroyed for it," O finished. The room fell silent. Outside the ship, stars continued to burn. Somewhere in the darkness, more people were dying for a lie. We have to tell someone, said. The council, the other species, someone has to know. The council already knows. His voice was bitter. They have to know. 53 species watching this war for thousands of years. Some of them must have figured it out. Then why don't they stop it? Because they benefit too, O said quietly. The war keeps two of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy weak and distracted. It keeps them from challenging the council's authority. Everyone wins, except the people who die. Stood up, her body felt heavy, like she was carrying the weight of all those deaths on her shoulders. But her mind was clear, clearer than it had been in months. We can't trust the council, she said. We can't trust anyone except ourselves, but we also can't let this continue. If we try to stop it, we'll end up like the warned. If we do nothing, we're part of the lie. Looked at her crew. These people had followed her through dangerous missions. They had trusted her with their lives. Now she was asking them to risk everything for people they had never met. The Admiral needs to know, she said. Earth needs to know. We're going to send everything, all the data, all the proof, and then we're going to find a way to end this war. How? Asked. We don't have the ships to fight them. We don't have the technology. Smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had found a purpose. We're not going to fight them, Doctor. Humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years too. We've learned something important. What's that? The most powerful weapon is not a gun or a bomb. The most powerful weapon is the truth, and we're going to give it to everyone who's been dying for a lie. She turned and walked toward the door. Contact Admiral. Tell her to prepare for a priority meeting. Tell her to bring every commander she trusts. And if she doesn't believe us, O asked. Paused at the door. She will, because she's human, and humans hate being lied to more than anything in the universe. She left the room. Behind her, the screens continued to glow. 3,000 years of lies finally exposed to the light. The truth was out now, and truth once spoken could never be silenced. The war was about to change. The galaxy was about to change. Humanity was about to show the universe what they were made of. They fought without us, until humanity stepped in and ended it. Part 3 Project. 6 months passed. On Earth, deep beneath the mountains of Korea, something was being built. The facility was hidden well. No satellites could see it. No signals could escape it. The workers who entered never spoke of what they did inside. This was the most secret place on the planet. This was where humanity would make its stand. Captain Park walked through the underground tunnels. The air was cool and dry. Machines hummed behind thick walls. Engineers ran from station to station, carrying tools and data pads. Everyone was busy. Everyone had a purpose. Admiral walked beside her. The Admiral looked tired but determined. For 6 months she had worked without rest. She had gathered the best minds from every nation on Earth. She had asked them one simple question. How do you end a war without fighting? We called it Project, the Admiral said. Named after Admiral Yi of ancient Korea. He faced a fleet of hundreds with only 12 ships. He won not by fighting harder but by fighting smarter. They entered a massive underground chamber. Thousands of small devices sat on tables and shelves. Each one was about the size of a person's hand. Each one was a satellite. Engineer Shin greeted them with a bow. She was young but brilliant. Her team had built these satellites in record time. 10,000 units, said proudly. Each one carries enough data storage for 1 million hours of video. Each one has communication systems that can broadcast on every known frequency in the galaxy. Picked up one of the satellites. It was light in her hand, such a small thing, but inside it was the truth. We gathered everything, said intelligence officer. She stood at a large screen showing files and documents. 800 years of secret meetings between and leaders, video recordings, written messages, financial records showing how they shared profits from the war. It's all here. And the battle data asked. Included every fake retreat, every staged defeat, every time they let their own people die to keep the war going. His voice was cold with anger. Once people see this, they will understand. They will know they've been lied to. General Han Minyu entered the room. He was the military commander of the entire operation. His job was to make sure the plan worked without getting humanity destroyed in the process. "The Council is watching us," he said. "They know we're doing something, they just don't know what." "How long until they find out?" Admiral asked. "Hard to say. We've been careful, but secrets don't last forever. We need to move soon." Nodded, she looked around the room at all the people who had worked so hard. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, ordinary people who had come together for one purpose, to save billions of lives. "Walk me through the plan one more time," she said. Doctor stepped forward. She had been working on the strategy since the beginning. Phase 1. We launch the satellites. They spread through in space before anyone can stop them. Then, at a specific time, they all broadcast at once. Every screen on every planet added. Every communication device. Every ship. Every station. The truth will appear everywhere at the same moment. "The leaders will try to block it," General Han said. "But our systems are designed to break through any jamming. By the time they figure out how to stop it, everyone will have already seen." Considered this. "They'll panic, the leaders, I mean. What happens when they panic?" "That's phase 2, continued. "While their governments are dealing with the fallout, we send in humanitarian ships, food, medicine, doctors. We offer help to both sides equally. We show them what humans are really like," Admiral said. "Not conquerors, not threats, helpers, friends." "And if the leaders attack our humanitarian ships?" asked. It was the question everyone was afraid to answer. Lieutenant spoke up. "That's phase 3. Every one of our ships will carry broadcast equipment. If anyone attacks a ship bringing food to hungry people, the whole galaxy will watch it happen in real time." "They can kill us," Commander O said quietly. "But they can't kill us secretly. And once people see their leaders attacking ships full of medicine and doctors, the leaders will have no power left." The plan was risky. The plan was dangerous. The plan might get them all killed. But it was also the only way. Thought about all the species that had tried to stop this war and failed. They had tried to fight power with power. They had tried to negotiate with liars. They had played by the rules of a game that was designed for them to lose. Humanity would not make that mistake. "When do we launch?" asked. 48 hours, General Han said. "The satellites are ready. The ships are ready. We're just waiting for your order, Captain." Looked at Admiral. The Admiral nodded once. "Then we launch in 48 hours. His voice filled the chamber. "After 3,000 years, this war ends. Not with more death, not with more fighting, with the truth, with kindness, with everything that makes us human." The room erupted in activity. Engineers ran to their stations. Soldiers prepared their ships. Scientists checked their data one last time. Somewhere above them, stars were still burning. Battles were still raging. People were still dying for lies. But not for much longer. Humanity was coming, and they were bringing the light. They fought without us, until humanity stepped in and ended it. Part 4. The day the stars went silent. The broadcast began at exactly 6 in the morning, Galactic Standard Time. On 300 worlds, screens flickered. Communication devices buzzed. Every channel, every frequency, every system that could receive a signal suddenly showed the same thing. Faces, faces, faces. Leaders from both sides sitting together in secret rooms, laughing and shaking hands while their people died. Captain Park watched from the bridge of the Soul's Dawn. Her ship was positioned at the edge of space, ready for whatever came next. "Signal is strong," Lieutenant reported. His hands were shaking slightly. "Every satellite is broadcasting. The whole galaxy is receiving." On the screen in front of them, the truth played out for everyone to see. A general explaining how many of his own soldiers should die in the next battle. A leader agreeing to retreat from a position they could have held. Money changing hands. Secret agreements signed. 3,000 years of lies compressed into 1 hour of undeniable proof. First reactions coming in, Commander O said. He was monitoring communication channels from both civilizations. Public channels are going crazy. People are demanding answers. Same in space, intelligence officer added. Their social networks are exploding. People are angry, really angry. Gripped the armrests of her chair. This was the dangerous moment. Angry people could go in many directions. They could demand justice, or they could demand blood. Military response, she asked. Nothing yet, General Han replied from Earth. His face was on a side screen. Both fleets seem frozen. They don't know what to do. On the main screen, the broadcast continued. Now it showed ordinary soldiers. Soldiers who had lost families in the war. Soldiers who had watched friends die. They spoke about their pain, their loss, their hatred for the enemy. And then the broadcast showed them the truth. Showed them that their enemy had never wanted to kill them. Showed them that both sides had been victims of the same lie. A soldier on screen began to cry. "My brother died fighting them," he said through his tears. "He died because our leaders told us we had to fight, but it was all a game to them, just a game." A soldier stood beside him. Both had been prisoners of war, rescued by human ships. Both had learned the truth together. Now they stood as brothers, united by their shared betrayal. "We were never enemies," the soldier said. "We were just pieces on a board. They moved us around and watched us die." Admiral's voice came through the communication system. "Phase 2 is starting. Humanitarian ships are entering both territories now." Turned to her navigation officer. "Take us in. Follow the humanitarian convoy." The Soul's Dawn moved forward, into space that had been forbidden to humans just hours ago. Around them, dozens of smaller ships carried food, medicine, and hope. The first response came from a military station. A commander appeared on screen. He was an older man with tired eyes. "Human vessels," he said. "You are entering restricted space. Turn back now." Stood up. "We are not here to fight. We are here to help. Our ships carry medicine for your wounded, food for your hungry. We will give it to anyone who needs it, or we ask nothing in return." The commander stared at her for a long moment. Behind him could see other officers watching and listening. "Why?" he finally asked. "Why would you help us?" "Because someone should have helped you 3,000 years ago. Because this war should never have happened. Because your people deserve better." The commander looked away from the screen, could hear voices arguing in the background. Then he turned back. "My government says I should destroy your ships." His voice was heavy. "My government says you are enemies." His heart pounded. This was it. This was the moment everything would be decided. "Your government has been lying to you for centuries," she said calmly. "You saw the proof. You know the truth now. The question is, what do you want to do about it?" Silence filled the bridge. Seconds passed like hours. Then the commander did something unexpected. He smiled. It was a small smile, sad and tired, but real. "Stand down," he said to his crew. "Let them pass." The guns powered down. The way was clear. Reports flooded in from all across the war zone. Stations letting human ships through. Commanders refusing orders to attack. Military leaders on both sides choosing to protect the humanitarian convoys instead of destroying them. Not everyone cooperated. Some loyal officers tried to follow their orders. But every time a shot was fired at a human relief ship, the cameras captured it. Every attack was broadcast live to billions of viewers. The leaders who ordered the attacks found themselves alone. Their own soldiers refused to follow. Their own people turned against them. Within hours, governments that had ruled for centuries began to fall. On a small moon in the system, Doctor led a medical team to a refugee camp. Thousands of people waited there, victims of a recent battle. They were hungry, sick, and afraid. When they saw the human doctors arriving, they did not know what to do. These were supposed to be strangers, outsiders, maybe even enemies. But the doctors did not act like enemies. They treated wounded soldiers. They fed hungry children. They asked for nothing except permission to help. An old woman approached. Her face was wrinkled and her eyes were full of tears. "I lost 3 sons in this war," she said through a translator. "I hated them for killing them. I hated them so much." She looked at the human doctors working around her. She looked at the refugees being treated in the same tents as her people. "But they didn't kill my sons," she said quietly. "Our own leaders did. Our own leaders took my boys away." She took his hand and held it tight. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for showing us." Could not speak. She just held the old woman's hand and cried with her. Across the galaxy, the same scenes played out again and again. Former enemies learning to see each other as people. Soldiers laying down weapons they had carried their whole lives. Families reaching across battle lines to help strangers. 3,000 years of war. Ended not by weapons but by truth. Ended not by conquest but by kindness. Ended by humanity. They fought without us, until humanity stepped in and ended it. Part 5: The Human Peace. 1 year had passed since the broadcast. 1 year since the truth set the galaxy free. Captain Park stood in a place that had never existed before. They called it the Unity Memorial. It was built on a small planet between and space, a neutral ground, a symbol of a new beginning. The building was beautiful. Architects and engineers had worked together to create it. Human artists had added touches from Earth. 3 civilizations, building something together for the first time in history. Today was the signing ceremony, the first real peace treaty in 3,000 years. Wore her dress uniform, medals hung on her chest. She had received many honors in the past year. Earth called her a hero, they called her a liberator, they called her a friend. She did not feel like any of those things. She just felt tired and grateful and amazed that any of this had actually worked. "Nervous?" asked Commander O. He stood beside her, looking at the crowds gathering in the great hall. "A little," admitted. "This still doesn't feel real." "I know what you mean," O smiled. "A year ago I thought we would all die. I thought the Council would destroy Earth for what we did. Now look at us." The Council had tried to stop them at first. They had voted to punish humanity for interfering. But when they called for military action, not a single member species sent ships. The lie had been exposed. The game was over. No one wanted to play anymore. Now the Council was changing too. New representatives, new rules, new respect for species that had been ignored for too long. Humans were no longer seen as children. They were seen as teachers. The ceremony began. Took her seat with the other human delegates. Around her sat representatives from 47 species. All had come to witness this moment. The ambassador was named Tao. She had 4 eyes and silver skin. Before the broadcast, she had been a military commander. She had fought in dozens of battles. She had killed many. Now she stood at the podium, ready to sign peace. "For 3,000 years we fought," Tal said. Her voice was heavy with emotion. "We thought we had no choice. We thought our enemies wanted to destroy us. We were wrong." She looked at the representatives. "We were both wrong. We were both victims. And we were both saved by the strangest allies imaginable." She turned to the human section, her 4 eyes found. "When the humans first arrived in our galaxy, we laughed at them. We called them primitive. We called them children. We told them to stay out of our affairs." The hall was silent. Everyone was listening. "They didn't listen," Tal continued. "They saw our war. They saw our suffering. and instead of looking away like everyone else, they asked one simple question: why? She shook her head slowly. In 3,000 years, none of us ever asked why. We just fought. We just died. We just obeyed our leaders without question. It took a species of children to show us how foolish we had been. The representative rose next. His name was Moore. He was tall and covered in dark scales. His voice was deep and rough. "My people have a saying," Moore said. "The strongest warrior is the one who never needs to fight." I never understood that saying until the humans came. He looked at the human delegation with something like wonder in his eyes. They could have conquered us. After our leaders fell, our militaries were in chaos. The humans could have claimed our worlds, our resources, our technology. They had the perfect opportunity. He paused. The hall held its breath. Instead, they sent doctors. They sent teachers. They sent farmers to help us grow food. They asked for nothing. They took nothing. They just helped. His voice cracked. In 3,000 years of war, I never saw true strength. Not until I saw a human doctor carrying a child through a bombed city, refusing to leave until everyone was safe. The signing happened next. Simple marks on a document that would change everything. When it was done, the hall erupted in cheers, and in human and dozens of other species, all celebrating together. Later, at a smaller gathering, the human delegation shared drinks and stories. Doctor brought real soju from Earth. Lieutenant taught some officers how to sing Korean songs. Commander O played chess with a general who had never seen the game before. Admiral found standing by a window, looking at the stars. "You should be celebrating," the admiral said. "I am," replied, "in my own way." They stood together in comfortable silence. Outside, ships from a dozen species moved peacefully through space that had been a war zone just a year ago. "Do you think it will last?" asked. "The peace, I mean." Admiral thought about it. "I don't know. Peace is harder than war. It takes more work, more patience, more forgiveness." "That's not very reassuring." "But I know this," the admiral continued. "Today, children are being born in space who will never know war. They will grow up seeing former enemies as friends. They will learn that peace is possible. That changes everything." Nodded slowly. "I guess we did something good." "You did something impossible." Admiral put her hand on shoulder. "You reminded the galaxy that war is a choice, and that different choices can be made." Outside, somewhere in the crowd, a child and a child were playing together. Human peacekeepers watched over them, smiling at the simple miracle of children being children. A journalist from Earth approached later that night. She asked for a quote, something to capture the meaning of the day. Thought for a long time, then she spoke. "They called us primitive, they called us young. They called us foolish for thinking we could end a war that had lasted 3,000 years, but we knew something they had forgotten. Every war is started by people. Every battle is fought by people. Every peace is made by people. If people can start wars, people can stop them. That's not primitive. That's not foolish. That's just human." The journalist wrote it all down. The words would spread across the galaxy. They would be translated into 100 languages. They would be remembered for generations. The galaxy had told humanity to stay out. Humanity had never been very good at listening. And because of that, the stars finally stopped burning. The war was over. The human peace had begun.